When we look at the directions for 6-4, spin around and look up here because we need to talk about it. It looks like, hey, we're just doing a worksheet, which, yes, you are, except somebody did a worksheet for leafy lift before, and they didn't do so hot, okay? So again, remember, what is the purpose of our trial balance? What needs to be equal? Debits and credits. So when I look at this trial balance and I look right here, we have a little bit of a problem. Would you agree? Because we have a debit here of $10,550 and then we have a credit here of $7,025. That doesn't work. So what we're doing in 6-4 is we're looking at a worksheet and we're fixing what someone else thought they did right. Okay? So we can see immediately there's a problem here. And then let's take a look at our adjustments. What do you notice about our adjustments for leafy lift? Leafy lift, yep. What is it, Isaac? What do you notice about our adjustments?
Very large numbers.
No? What else about it? Prepaid insurance?
Those are definitely should be credited.
Correct. We do adjustments to account for the fact that things are used up. According to this adjustment, we have $95 more in insurance. Does that really work? No. Okay, so then we're going to go here. So I have 400 and then 95, so then I have more there. That's not going to work. And then when I look here, on my income statement, I have a debit of $2,208, and then I have a credit here of $5,160. Does that make my debits and credits equal? Do I have the right net income? No. Somebody went through and finished a worksheet and said, oh, yeah, done, but it's not done correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and do the worksheet, and we're going to do the worksheet correctly. The other nice thing that we have with this assignment is on the very bottom down here, we have a general ledger here. Oops. We have this general ledger and we have this general ledger. And that's a little bit of confusion, I understand. Like, why do we have two general ledgers? A business is only going to have one. On the top, this is going to be where the person, Mr. Cody, got his information for his worksheet that he completed. He's like, yeah, I can take care of it. So we can see right here, he has cash as a debit of $8,000. But let's look at this. Is that math correct? Have a little bit of a math issue going on here for our cash. So on the top, this is where they got the numbers from, but obviously there's a mistake. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on the bottom here, and we need to go through and find and fix this. So we have a debit of $4,000, and then we're debiting it another $7,000. So what is our total now? $11,000. So they have a nice little drop-down menu, so I'm going to choose $11,000 there. So why don't you go ahead and do that? So our total is going to be $11,000 instead of $15,000. And now from $11,000, I have to subtract $6,750. And that will give me $4,250. So what I just did is originally Mr. Cody had, again, cash of $8,000, but there was a problem here in my ledger, so cash balance is not really $8,000. So now I'm going to go ahead and go up here to cash and put in here $4,250. So we're going to go through on this bottom ledger for each account and check to see if there's any mistake. Is there anything wrong with accounts receivable, Sharon Mann? I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to give her a balance of $1,000 as a debit. I'm then going to go to account number 130, which is supplies. It's kind of obvious because when there's a mistake, there's an option for you to fix the correct number right here. So we can see that supplies had 600 and then we were debiting it for another 425. Excuse me. So the balance of supplies should be 1,025, not 725. So I'm going to put that up on top. I'm going to do prepaid insurance next. So there's a debit balance of 150. I'm debiting it another 150. So the balance is not 400. It should be 300. Accounts payable power supply is a liability. It looks like its balance is done correctly as a credit for 150. Paul Cody Capital has a credit balance of 5,000. And again, I'm getting all my numbers from the ledgers down below because that's truly where we do get all of our numbers when we're going through and filling in a worksheet. Don't use the numbers that are up top. Use the numbers down below your worksheet. Make sure you use the numbers down below, not up top. So I'm going to choose then income summary. Income summary should have nothing in it. Go to sales. And it looks like Mr. Cody had a hard time writing a number for sales. Sales should have a credit balance of 1,900. Insurance expense should have a zero balance because the only time I'm using insurance expense is when I do an adjustment. Take a look at miscellaneous expense. We have 150 debit balance plus 25 should give me 175 balance for debit. And then checking supplies expense. Supplies expense has a zero balance. So this worksheet's a little bit shorter. What you need to do after you have all your numbers in is you need to go through, use your calculator and add up, and we have to get our trial balance, debit and credit to equal. The totals should go on line 13, not on line 14 on your worksheet. When I went through and completed the worksheet, I have a trial balance, debit of 7,050 and credit of 7,050. Miss Bain, did you get the same thing? Nice. How about Fox? Got that too? Good. Now, the next part after we get our trial balance to come out is going to be to go through and do our adjustments. Oh, you know what I realized I forgot to do? The very top of our worksheet, you need to do the name of the business, which is Leafy Lift, name of the document, which is a worksheet, and the date is for a month ended September 30th of the current year. So when we look at our worksheet, what we're going to assume is that Mr. Cody knew that we really did use up $390 worth of supplies. So we're going to use the number that Mr. Cody put in the adjustment column, but we're going to use it correctly. So we're going to have supplies go down $390. So we're going to credit supplies $390, and then we would debit supplies expense for $390, and the same thing for our prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance is going to be credited $95, and insurance expense will be debited $95. So we have our two adjustments there. One of the things I do want to point out, on this document right here that Mr. Cody did, you will notice that your adjustments are labeled with A and B. A just means it's the first adjustment, and you'll do A as a debit and A as a credit just to make sure that you have matching debits and credits for your adjustments. We can't do that in Applia, but just as a heads up. So we have our two adjustments done, and then you're going to go through and add those two up. So we have 390 and 95. We're going to add that up. I get 485. How did I do on math? Would you agree, Dale? All right. So trial balance, again, purpose is debits and credits equal. Adjustments is to account for the supplies and prepaid insurance that we have used up. Now, income statement is our revenue and expense accounts. Balance sheet is our assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. Every account only has one classification. So cash is an asset, so assets go on our balance sheet, so I'm going to put $4,250 as a balance sheet debit. Accounts receivable is also an asset, so I'm going to do 1,000 under balance sheet. Now, when I get to supplies, supplies has a trial balance of 1,025, and then I adjust it by 390, so I have to subtract. Thomas, what did you get for the balance of supplies? 635 as our debit or as a credit? Okay. Thank you. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing for prepaid insurance. Kendra, what are we going to do for that one? What is our balance going to be? As a debit or credit? Okay, so I would agree. 205 for our prepaid insurance, because we started with 300, we used up 95. Accounts payable, power supply is our first liability. Liabilities go on our balance sheet, so I'm going to put 150 there. Owner's equity goes on our balance sheet as well. And Paul Cody Capital is my first owner's equity account. Paul Cody Drawing is our contra account to our owner's equity, so it goes on our balance sheet. And it has a debit balance of 300. Income summary does not have a balance, so that will stay blank. Sales is a revenue account. Revenue accounts go on our income statement. It'll go on there as a credit of 1,900. Insurance expense has nothing in our trial balance, but it has a debit of 95, so its new balance in our income statement column is going to be 95. Miscellaneous expense is going to have a debit balance of 175. And supplies expense is going to have a balance of 390 because there's 0 in the trial balance, but a debit of 390 in adjustments. So that'll be its new balance. On line 13 of our worksheet, I am going to go through and add up all of my totals for my income statement columns and my balance sheets. And my debits and credits should not equal. The whole purpose right now is for me to determine whether or not I've made money or lost money. So I'm going to add up all my expenses. Brett, what did you get for your income statement debit? What did you get for income statement debit?
565.
You got 565? What did you get? Yeah. 660. I got 660. What did you get, Deb? Income statement debit. That's because you have everything in the credit column. The only thing that should be in the credit column should be sales. All of your expenses have a debit balance. Yes. How do you know? What's higher? Debit's higher? Keep trying. So, we determine our net income on which columns? Income statement or balance sheet? I think I heard it. Income statement or balance sheet columns, we determine whether or not we made money or lost money. Income, okay? Our credit column of our income statement is what? What's the only number in there? Sales, right? So what are our debits? Expenses. Which one is greater, my revenue or my expenses? My revenue, because I have revenue of 1,900, and then we just worked on my expenses of 660. Would you agree? So because my revenue column, which is the credit column on my income statement, is greater than my expenses, I have a net income. I know that. How much is my net income? Did you figure it out? The difference between my revenue and my expenses, what is it?
1,240.
1,240, thank you. So where's it going to go on my income statement? As a debit or as a credit? As a debit. Okay. And how do I know that? So when I add down my debits and credits equal. So I take 1,240. It's on my income statement as a debit. It is a net income. I therefore have to add that to my balance sheet as a credit. Same number. So the true test on your worksheet to see if it comes out is I take 5,150 plus 1,240, and that gives me 6,390, which is the amount in my balance sheet debit. That means Shazam wham, my balance sheet works. I do have this work together and on your own set up as a graded assignment. So I will be giving you points for this. So please double check that. Once you are done with that one, go ahead and work on your own. If you have questions, ask.